Good morning. Welcome to our Into webinar, the third in the series, as we continue from the Independent School Show to bring you access to schools in this day and age when we sadly can't be hosting our shows and or of course not necessarily being able to visit these fantastic schools. Today we're focusing on 8 outstanding countryside boarding prep schools and looking at what that option looks like and particularly at the moment when so many of families and so many of us are thinking about escaping the cities with all the issues that we now have to live with and giving our kids something a little bit more outdoorsy, healthy and holistic away from the big smoke. My name is William Petty. I'm a co-director at Bonus McFarlane and the Independent School Show. And at Bonus McFarlane, I spend the majority of my time working with families from the UK and around the world to help them find the very best schools for their children, the ones that fit them, particular to their needs, their interests, their hobbies. And it's a delight for me to be hosting today with 8 fantastic schools, 8 fantastic headmasters. I'm afraid we're not doing brilliantly on the diversity in school leadership on today's webinar, but we had some female heads in the last one, so we will we'll have to make do with these fine gentlemen. We're going to be going from school to school. They're all on location at their schools, dotted around the grounds. Thankfully, we have real clout here at Bonus McFarlane, so we've arranged for the weather to be absolutely perfect today, of all days, the only day this week actually, I think. And it does look, I can see all the schools lined up ready to go. It looks fabulous and very blue skied wherever any of them are outside. They'll be showing you little bits and pieces of their schools. We don't have a huge amount of time with each of them, so please listen carefully. And indeed, on our site, you will find almost immediately after this, the full live recording of the webinar for you to go back and review, and links to all of these schools, links to their prospectuses, although I will be naming and shaming an individual who later on who's yet to upload his prospectus for his school. But they all will be there, and of course you can find them on their own websites as well. At the end, we will have a very short Q&A, only about 15 minutes. If you would like to ask us a question or raise a question, please use the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will either get back to you in writing, or if it's sort of, generally relevant to lots of people, we will try and answer it in our Q&A session. We've already had some pre-submitted questions, but we'd love to see other questions, and indeed my team will get back to you regardless of whether or not we answer it here live. The idea here is just to give you a sense of each of these schools and help you find an efficient way to focus your search and understand really what it is that you're looking for within the prep school market. And hopefully this will be a great introduction to just some of the fabulous schools there are around the country. Surprisingly, I've run out of things to say, and therefore it's probably a good time to crack on. And we're starting very dramatically, and I'm pleased we're getting Beeston Hall up first, because Fred looks like he might be blown away into the sea very shortly. So we're going to go live now to Fred DeFalbe, the headmaster at Beeston Hall, and he is rather beautifully perched on the top of a cliff near a beach. Fred, over to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Will, and thank you all for joining us. Welcome to Beeston Hall School. You could be forgiven for imagining that we're on holiday rather than at school, but it's impossible not to introduce you to Beeston without seeing this unique aspect of the school, our location. I'm on Beeston Bump on the North Norfolk coast, 500 metres from the school buildings and an elemental part of life here. One of the things about post-lockdown Norfolk has been a much busier coast path, since there's such a number of families making the decision to ship out and relocate, where there's freedom to range and run in a truly inspiring place. I chose to talk about participation and exercise and the importance of not winning because, counterintuitively, this is so intrinsic to 13+ prep school boarding. If we're to succeed in our aim of sending children to all the senior schools in the country, which we do, we have to provide that combination of nurture and opportunity so children can grow in character and confidence without pressure. Popular destinations are Oundle and Uppingham and Gresham's, but in the last 5 years, we've sent children to 22 different schools across the nation, including Eton, Harrow, Downhouse, and Wickham Abbey. Over those 5 years as well, an average of 50% of them have come away with a scholarship or an award. For this to happen, children need to be enjoying themselves at school, and key to this, irrespective of abilities and strengths, is participation. Children love getting involved. And a frequent feature of our new day families, of which we've had a good few this term, is the trouble they have collecting their children at the end of the school day. They're so keen to stay, and this is why children so often ask their parents soon whether they can board. Because prep school is all about taking part. And one of the ways in which we're able to help them flourish with this is the huge range of activities that we have on the doorstep. So a trip to the British Museum may be an annual one at best, but a daily slot of surfing or zorbing or sailing or rollerblading gives children an ideal chance to try these new things and see sides and strengths to themselves as well as their peers. In doing this, children are making connections, building relationships, and taking risks. Braving the weather, just as we are the wind today, is a regular feature of Beeston life. So much takes place outside. And having balance, where children have emerging confidence to extend themselves in a nurturing atmosphere, is something we can deliver because of our size. Because Beeston's a small school, about 150 children, so there's never a danger of children getting lost in a crowd. Our size also means we don't always expect to win, but it's all the richer when we do. Note, of course, we've, I think, 9 finalists in our hockeys in the hockey matches across the nation of national finals. But this commitment to winning is also twinned with a commitment to inclusion. We all know that coming back from a setback can be much more significant than the triumph itself. And learning to live with this and move on is a key feature as they build their independence. So you see these children coming up the bump behind me, and very glad of it because it's not Death Hill, an even more testing climb in the 400 acres of National Trust forest behind the school. But just to make the point, Death Hill is remembered by generations of old Beestonians because it's such an illustration of the prep school dynamic. Scaling and overcoming hurdles, urged on by friends and competitors alike, which at the outset seemed impossible. And so it is with this world-class nature reserve at our doorstep as the perfect outdoor classroom, the children develop the bravery they need to go out and ultimately succeed. So thank you for listening. Please do be in touch if you'd like to find out more, or visit our Instagram page for a more vivid look at what I firmly believe is a truly fantastic experience of childhood at its very best, alongside a matchless education. Thank you all.
Fred, thank you very much. Thank you to your students as well, whizzing past. Now, what a setting and what an introduction to see there that the difference, really, I suppose, if you're looking at a city day school as opposed to the Norfolk countryside in this case, but they might not be these countryside schools right next to the V&A and all these amazing museums, but as Fred so eloquently pointed out, they have so much else that they're capable of doing every day, not just once a term. the nature of their settings and the outdoor environment, which is something that the major conurbations nationwide simply can't do, and certainly not every day. So wonderful to see, and just for our viewers, I'd just like to verify the fact that that was not staged, the runners coming by just as Fred wrapped up. They had indeed been doing circuits as we were getting ready, and that was very genuine. And they were really doing that, and not just for our benefit. Fred, thank you very much. So now we move down the country, south to sunny Surrey, from blustery but beautiful Norfolk, to Chris Carlier, who's the headmaster, who's joining us from Aldro School, which is very excitingly, particularly for people like me, introducing girls to what is an all-boys school at the moment, as of September 2021. So they are heading into a very exciting new chapter, and I will leave Chris to take it from there. Chris, over to you at Aldro.
William, thank you very much, and welcome to all of you who've tuned in and are viewing this morning. I'm welcoming you here from Aldro, as William said, in the countryside in Surrey, surrounded by farmland and fields and woodlands. Indeed, just to my left is our very own lake with a tree house on the island in the middle, only accessible by rope bridge. We're nestled in the village of Shackleford, and just 35 minutes really outside of southwest London. We're a similar distance from Heathrow and Gatwick airports, and indeed for our weekly boarders who come out of Waterloo on a Monday morning, it's a 7:15 train from Waterloo, passing through Clapham and getting to our local train station at 8 o'clock on the dot. A short ride up the hill past Charterhouse and you arrive at Aldro. That's where we're based at the moment, and it's a glorious morning here. William's also sort of said that we're at a very exciting time in our history. From next September, we've only just announced that from next September we will start to take girls as well as boys at the school. So from September next year, we will be both a boarding and a day school for boys and girls aged 7 to 13. And it is that 13 plus transition that's particularly important to us, sending boys and girls onto the leading independent schools of the country. Also important to us is our Christian heritage. For over 120 years, we've been welcoming boys from all faiths and none, and yet there is a real sense, I think, in which the values of our school are underpinned by Christian teaching, and that's important to us. We're an academically ambitious school. We're selective at point of entry, albeit broadly so. We just want to make sure that those joining us will share our aspirations to move on to those selective independent senior schools as well. We're proud of our success academically over the last couple of years. 33 of our boys have achieved awards in a whole range of areas in academic and sport, music and drama. They've gone on to, last year, 50 leavers went on to 20 different senior schools. We value our independence. We enjoy working with parents and helping them to select the right senior school for their child. They went on last year to schools such as Eton, Winchester, Harrow, Tunbridge, Charterhouse, Wellington, Hanford, Bradfield, Uppingham, and so on, a whole host of different schools. As well as the academic offering, we are very proud of our broad, holistic education. Let's just say all the pupils here involved in sport, whether it's at a competitive level, at a sort of a representative level, or just competing maybe against another school on a Wednesday or a Saturday afternoon. About 85% of our boys are learning an individual music instrument, about 60% are doing Lambda. There's a whole host of other activities and an enrichment program that make up the broad offering for our children. We're also a boarding school, and boarding is an integral part of our educational provision here. About a third of our pupils board. A quarter of them probably from overseas, doing 7 nights a week. The rest of them doing somewhere between 1 and 5 nights a week, typically taking on more and more boarding as they get older. We enjoy working with our families to decide what suits them best, but typically if they're moving on to boarding schools later on, they enjoy finding their boarding feet before they move on. And we do think that the boarding environment is part of their education as they learn to develop independence, become responsible for themselves, and just thrive off the social dynamic of being in a sort of family-friendly and thriving boarding community. I wanted really just to conclude on a personal note. I spent over 20 years working in the senior school world and have moved recently into the prep school world. And I'm sure all my other colleagues about to present, or those who've just presented, would join me in saying what an immense privilege it is to be involved in the education of your young children at such a formative time in their lives. Our aim is to provide an inspiring education, somewhere where they're valued individually and ultimately somewhere where they have a lot of fun and they build a lifetime of memories. That's it from me, a little snapshot of life at Aldro. I hope it whets your appetite. If you'd like to visit, I'm going to hand back over to William now. Thank you, William.
Chris, thank you so much. And also, just a wonderful ending there from Chris. The luxury of this is that all of these heads and the staff of whom they work with and represent, are in it for your kids, and they take that privilege and that responsibility very, very seriously and do it with great passion. Straight on then to Philip Evatt, the headmaster at the wonderful Highfield and Brookham in Hampshire. Philip, over to you.
Will, good morning, and good morning everybody. Thank you so much as well to Fred and to Chris for offering such a brilliant synthesis of everything that makes prep school education so wonderful. I find myself thinking, why do I have to follow that? But nonetheless, here we are in the grounds of Highfield and Brookham schools. I'm joined by two of our Year 8 pupils, Lucy and Alistair. And Lucy and Alistair will be saying a few words in a minute, so you're not just going to have to listen to the stiff in the suit, you'll be delighted to hear. But a little bit about Highfield and Brookham. Brookham is our pre-prep children at Brookham from nursery through to Year 3, and at Highfield, the prep school where I'm head, Year 4 through to Year 8. We are very much a mixed economy of boarding and day, but the boarding is a really big deal at Highfield. It's not compulsory. In fact, one of the first things I did when I took over the school was to end the compulsion to board, because I appreciate it's not necessarily right for everyone. But for those that it suits, I think it can be the most fabulous experience. And it makes schools, I think, what they should be. I mean, schools should be places of untrammeled joy, wonder, excitement, and delight. And I think the opportunities to be in a school such as ours across 5 nights or 7 nights if you're full boarding really does afford that opportunity to take full advantage of everything available, not just during the teaching day, but also when school has finished and there is the opportunity to enjoy the 175 acres of grounds we have here, a little bit of which you can see behind you now. And I'm sure that Ali and Lucy will be saying a little bit about what they get up to here. But the great thing about schools such as ours, as we've already heard, is the extraordinary breadth that we can offer, always within the context of ensuring that your children are incredibly well looked after, nurtured, cherished, but also given the most exciting and broad education that we can possibly manage. And I know that you'll be hearing later from other heads, including Rory Johnson down at Hanford, where they have ponies. I mean, it is the most extraordinary environment to become a part of, I think, the prep school world. And you're going to get a fantastic introduction to what is out there over the course of this morning. So, academic rigor, breadth, opportunity, fun, and boarding. Boarding as a proper preparation for what so many of our children go on to at 13. And the key thing, I think, is to hear what our boarders enjoy about that. So, Lucy, Alistair, off you go.
If I hadn't come to boarding, I would have had to move schools every 2 or 3 years because my dad's in the military. But boarding has allowed me to stay at school and enjoy time with my friends and teachers.
We also had to isolate a few times at the start of this term. As boring as it may sound, we were able to play fun games of cricket on these pitches, and we also played some competitive games of Uno in the common room.
We've met loads of different international students from France, Spain, Russia, China, and learnt about different cultures.
My favourite thing about Highfield is the sport, because no matter what your abilities are, everybody gets stuck in and has a go at it.
my favourite thing about Highfield is probably the food, because it's just amazing.
Guys, thank you very much. What's that about never appearing with animals and children? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Philip. Thank you to your students there, and thank you for introducing students to the talk for the first time today. Wonderful to hear from them. And actually, that impressive young lady touched on something which is really important. You know, in London, I think people think, oh, it's very cosmopolitan, but we just heard the nationalities they've been exposed to in the boarding environment. And of course, you know, because of boarding, you still get that amazing sort of global reach from these wonderful schools and their pupils. So moving swiftly on, leaping across the country once more to Suffolk, to the stunning old Buckenham Hall. Been far too long since I've been to visit, and to the headmaster, hopefully standing by the Dragonfly Pond. David, over to you.
Thank you, William. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the invite to be here this morning. Just a message to the parents generally watching. There are 8 fantastic schools on the call this morning, so it's a privilege to be part of that. And also, if you're looking at the schools and are impressed by any of them, you can't go wrong with any of the schools that are introducing themselves today. We're at Old Buckenham Hall at the Dragonfly Pond. There are 3 ponds at our school. We sit in 80 acres of parkland in the middle of Suffolk. This is the Dragonfly Pond. You've got some reception children pond dipping just behind us. I'm also here with Phoebe and Jago, our head boy and head girl, who will say a couple of words for me in just a second. We are 90 minutes away from London, so it's a short train journey directly from Stowmarket Station to Liverpool Street. We've had a lot of interest actually from London parents during the pandemic and in the months that have followed over the summer, and indeed a few parents have joined us for the start of this term. In fact, we've had record numbers of joiners this year. In the 80 acres of parkland that we have a tagline, which is that every child at the school has a third of an acre, and that's one of the main things for me to talk about this morning in terms of the space that the children have got to be children, to have fun, to enjoy themselves, to make mistakes as well within the safety net of the school. At Old Buckenham Hall, we've got 2 key things that we really try to develop in the children. And if I go to Jago, he's going to pass me, you'll meet Jago in a second, pass me this little thing here. This is the OBH way, which is our code of conduct, really. It's not a formal code of conduct, but we encourage 6 key things for the children to develop in their time here. They encourage kindness, pride, respect, responsibility, and community. What we want is the children to leave here with those intrinsic qualities, so that when they go on to their senior schools and their future careers, they can contribute to the world. We want them to be literate, to be numerate, to be able to critically think, so that they give back something to society. They're incredibly privileged to come to school like this. The environment is absolutely stunning. As well as the personal characteristics and the development there, what we're also trying to do as a school is to make sure that every child at the school meets their academic standards and in fact exceeds them. I think if you visit or think of a countryside prep school, particularly when the headmaster is wrapped in tweed, you might think that we're slightly backwards looking or old-fashioned, but with all of the schools that you're meeting this morning, nothing could be further from the truth. So we teach the very highest academic standards, we teach coding, we teach robotics, we have innovative techniques, and we send children to about 30 different senior schools. And as some of the others have mentioned, you know, these are the top end public schools around the country, as well as schools that are more local to us. We're very much a boarding and day school. The boarding influences everything that we do at the school. Certainly from year 3 and above, we see about a half of the children boarding, and as they reach year 8, all of the children, bar a couple, are boarding to a very great capacity, with many being weekly and some being full boarders as well. So it's a lovely setting to be in. And without further ado, I now hand over to Phoebe, who's going to tell us a little bit about life in the boarding house.
So good morning, everybody. The boarding at OBH is honestly one of the most phenomenal environments that I've personally ever seen. So both boarding houses have recently been done up, so Merton Lodge, and then we also have Sparrow, which is our young boarding house. Both environments are just lovely, relaxing, homely, and a very easy atmosphere for any boarder to settle into. There are also lots of activities on offer. So on a Saturday afternoon after Saturday school, there are activities such as shooting, creative crafts, and golf, which I know all boarders and day boarders thoroughly enjoy. Every night throughout the week, there are also games and activities on offer, such as all games in the library, dodgeball in the Beeston Hall, arts and crafts in the art room, and also the very popular man hunt games.
Thank you, Phoebe. And then this is Jago, our head boy, who will say something about the outdoorsy nature of the school?
So at OBH, we have a unique technique, which we do this thing called OBEs, which is Old Buckenham Explorers, which we learn how to light fires and live in the wilderness, make foods. And also at OBH, we provide lots of sports, such as the boys do cricket, hockey and rugby, and then you can also do tennis and golf. And then the girls do netball and hockey and cricket in the summer as well.
Thank you, Jacob. Thanks, Phoebe. So we're an amazing school. I'm slightly worried about Jacob saying that we light fires. We do light fires. The school's actually burnt down twice, although I have to say the last time was over 70 years ago. We're quite a well-travelled prep school. So I think that's it from us. William, thank you again for the invite. And as I say, parents looking at any of the 8 schools on the call today can't go wrong by having a serious look. Do look at our YouTube channel, website, and there you'll see the real excitement at the school. And most importantly, very, very happy children. So thank you.
David, thank you, and most impressive students that you've got there. And please tell Phoebe and the young gentleman that in 10, 12 years' time to give me a shout for a job. That was quite something. You even dealt with your erratic panning camera there and kept moving with the frame, which is extremely impressive. Beautiful day there as well. And on to a very different setting from the ones we've had so far at Hanford School, famous for the setting it's currently going to be in. And we join Headmaster Rory Johnston in the school stables. Rory, over to you.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to Dorset. Welcome to Hanford. You're joining me in the stables. This isn't a classroom, I assure you. And behind me there are 2 pupils and 1 horse, rather than 3 pupils. Now I'm going to be, it's very difficult to follow all of these people who've spoken, and I'm wondering how I can give a unique view or my own perspective on this. And I'm going to give you a perspective which is based on the fact that I boarded as a child and I loved it. And why do our children love boarding here today? And I think the reason is it's all about childhood. And childhood is, in my mind, 4 things. It's freedom, it's discovery, it's challenge, and above all else, it's fun. And here, and I think in all of the schools, as you will have probably gleaned, we have a freedom of space, we have freedom of time, and we have an absence of sort of unnecessary rules. There are rules, but we hopefully ensure that the girls, and we're a girls' school, unapologetically girls only, the girls learn how to live within boundaries, and that gives them responsibility. Discovery is a really important part of childhood. The joy of discovery, the fun of learning new stuff, both in the classroom and outside, of learning stuff about yourself, learning how to fail in a safe and secure environment, learning how to pick yourself up and move on. And we talk about challenge. We love challenge. And that's both in the classroom again, but also outside. We have girls who ride these ponies. I'm afraid I am not a rider. And I am always impressed when the girls jump, they even vault on the ponies, which I find extraordinary. And a lot of physical challenge. They climb the tree, which requires huge courage. But above all else, and in everything we do, we try and make sure there is a sense of fun, that they can enjoy themselves, that they don't take themselves too seriously, that they learn how to laugh, how they share experiences, and above all else, that they create these friendships. And of our girls, I would say that 75% are boarders, which is essentially full-time or at least weekly, through to Saturday morning. The other 25%, they all have their own bed, and almost all of them will board, often several nights a week. So boarding, I think, is clearly part of our culture, and the girls flourish. And part of the reason for that, again, is not only those 4 elements of childhood that they get here, but also because they get to know each other, they get to know us, and we get to know them. And we see the whole child. And so that's why I think boarding is such a wonderful and joyous experience. And I think, with that, in an attempt to try and catch up a little bit on time, I'm going to end. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rory, and lovely to see the beautiful stables and ponies and students within once more. So, without further ado, we'll crack on and off to Chris Wilson, headmaster at Lockers Park in Hertfordshire. Normally this time of year, Chris and I are exhibiting somewhere in Asia, and I'm helping him erect a stand in a sweaty, hot, tropical hotel room in Singapore or similar. But very nice to see you on home turf. Chris, over to you.
Morning, William. Morning, all of you joining us this morning. Yes, entirely right. Normally this time of year we're seeing what the Far East has to offer, and William and I are putting up with the pains of hot weather when we come from a cold country. But good morning all and welcome. My name's Chris Wilson. I'm headmaster here at Lockers Park, a school that's been around for 150 years. So one of those very early founding prep schools around. We're a small boys-only boarding and day school based in Hertfordshire. So we're 25 minutes from the centre of London, but we're in a beautiful area of 25 acres of land where the boys can be as creative as they want to be. Fundamentally, we're looking for boys that are going to engage in the fullness of life. And as parents ourselves, we know the importance of what these prep schools can do. I myself went through a boarding education right through from very early days in prep school, in fact, from the age of 6. So I've got plenty of experience and understanding, and so do all our boarding staff. So as a school, we completely get what it is that makes boarding schools unique and really exciting for the boys to be part of. For me, there are 3 fundamental ingredients that make boarding the place that it is, and will encourage you to send your children to join us. The first one is lots of activities and play. Boys are full of energy, they're full of adventure, they're full of ideas and thoughts, and we need to give them the chance to explore those. So we give them that opportunity within the 25 acres. There are shrublands, there are wooded lands, they can go and build dens, they can climb trees, they can do all those things that we remember as children ourselves, and we had great fun doing that. We also are well positioned to strike to a whole host of external things, which are within 20 minutes, half an hour of the school. So we take them to Chessington World of Adventure, or we've got an indoor ski centre half a mile from the school, or we take them bowling or go-karting, all those various events. But even with the COVID restrictions in place, we've got the grounds to do whatever we want to do here. And we have our own scout troop, our own cub troop, even our own beavers troop. We host a lot of boarding events throughout the course of the year. We have a fabulous thing called Dark Tower. I'm afraid you won't know the ins and outs of that until you join the school, but it's one of those unique events that happens. Consider Harry Potter meets Lord of the Rings. And if you need to know who the Dementors are, it takes no guessing, it's the staff. It's about keeping the boys engaged, keeping them having fun, and we often see that the boys themselves are the ones who choose to want to come into boarding, and that's the sign of a school doing a really good job in that respect. So that's the first point. Lots of activities, lots of fun, lots of engagement. The second one is pastoral care. You want to know and you want to feel that your children are being really well looked after. So we put a lot of emphasis on pastoral care. These are boys developing into young men, and they need guidance and they need that steering from us. You as parents do a fantastic job, but we need to add that extra layer of value, perhaps from somebody that isn't associated with the family. And sometimes those slightly difficult conversations need to happen with us. But we're there in a very heavy pastoral community. We have those matrons, those paternal figures within the boarding house, and they will help direct and guide your boys as they go through these difficult teenage or early teenage years. As a small school, we value community and the family. So all the staff will know your son, not just by name, but by their personality, and he'll be well cared for. So that's the second point, lots of activity and pastoral care. And then there's a third point. What's the third point?
Sir,
yes.
is it food?
Yes, food. That's exactly right. Food. Boys always have food on their mind, as these 3 boys do here, constantly thinking about when the next meal is happening. William, what's your favourite meal? Why is that?
Because we get waffles.
Great. So as ever, waffles and various bits in the food diary. So the food here is vitally important. We've got energetic young boys who want to do things and they need the energy to do that. So prioritising food is important. Ethan, what's your favourite meal of the day? Hey, pizza, there we go. I promise you there is healthy food in amongst all this as well. They do get the option, but they have a huge amount of energy and enthusiasm to go and do stuff, so they need to be fed. So that's the winning formula for us. It's pastoral care, it's lots of activities and exercises, and it's food. So if you're interested in Lockers Park or any of these schools, give us a ring, get in touch with us and let us know. Back to you, William. Thank you very much.
Chris, thank you very much. Thank you, boys. Very nice to see you all enjoying your Wednesday morning there. On we go to well, he's been moving locations all morning in the background. We're going to Tom Rogerson at Cottesmore, who yesterday evening was awarded Prep School of the Year at the Tatler Awards. Usually a horrifically anti-COVID measure event where the good and the great of the private education will cram into a hotel ballroom, but I gathered delivered virtually last night. Congratulations on your award, Tom, and over to you at Cottesmore in Sussex.
Thank you very much, William. That's extremely kind of you to mention the Tatler Prep School of the Year award. Very, very generous of you to say that immediately. You may well ask, what is this jug? And I'll tell you what this jug is. This jug is the award. So we don't get a cup anymore, we get a jug. And it's great because it's a great metaphor. You fill the jug or the lighting of the fire or all that sort of stuff. So that is the jug. Have a close look there. So that's that. The other thing is that the award for Boarding School of the Year went to Cottesmore School, which is this school that I'm sitting at the moment. So that's that award there. So that's Boarding School of the Year. And so, you know, a lot of schools are fantastic and a lot of schools should win. There should be multiple awards. But we've just been very lucky in the last 2 years to have won those 2 awards, Boarding School of the Year and Prep School of the Year, yesterday. We're still feeling very pumped up with all the sugar and sweeties that we ate yesterday. So you can see that I'm very, very energetic about it. Very quickly, I'm going to run to the hall. But we are half an hour from London on the train. We've had girls since 1974. We've had boys since 1894. We're very privileged to be near a place called Hickstead, which is a show jumping ground, and we've got very close connections with a parent who is part of Hickstead, and so we go and jump there. That's a new thing. It's very, very, very professional these days, the jumping at Cottesmore. The COVID safety is extremely important at Cottesmore and all these other schools, and we're busy fogging, deep cleaning, and making sure that everybody's separate. We've built 3 classrooms to make sure that everybody's separated, and we are, we're doing everything we can. So sorry to bang on about the awards, but a bit of a while back we won the Tatler Food Award as well, and hopefully we're still going strong on the food award situation. We haven't won it recently, but we're still going on that. I was wondering if I could just, you bear with me for about 20 seconds, I'll leap to the hall. 1 second.
I'll fill the air while we wait for Tom to leave his office/trophy cabinet.
Here we go. Right.
There we go.
I'll try and get the camera so it's not going that way. And we've got some people. Now, if everybody else can be silent while I'm just doing this interview live for Independent School Show, that would be fantastic. We've got 3 girls there, all separated from these 2 boys. That's because they're in different bubbles. Can everybody hear me on the ISS thing? Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you, Tom. Back on.
Fantastic. So this is a boy called Henry. Henry, how are you? Could you speak a bit more loudly, but also say, where are we? What's this place that we're in?
We're in Cottesmore School.
Nice and loud.
We're in Cottesmore School.
Which room are we in?
We're in the hall.
We are in the hall. Now have a look at this. This is probably the biggest fireplace in this side of Christendom. And I don't know quite why we're mentioning that, other than it's a very spectacular thing.
Also on the roof, It's every single feather.
We'll just wait for that trolley to go past there, which is very loud. We can shut that door, Tom. Go on.
So every single ostrich feather on the roof represents one diamond.
This is an ostrich feather situation up there. Look at that. And that represents £1,000 in the Victorian era of this chap's wealth, which was very interesting. We don't talk about wealth much at Cottesmore, but that's the fact. Shall we go outside and continue? Because we're going to be shut off by William Petty in moments. Quick. We need to go out here. 5 minutes is not enough, William. Next time, more, please. Okay, go and stand over there, guys. So, quickly, Myla, come and talk about your horse riding.
So, I have a horse from the Isle of Man, and when I used to go to school, I used to ride her.
Where did you compete the other day?
Hickstead.
At Hickstead. You didn't drop a fence, did you? No, that was very fantastic. Rosie, come and talk to us. What is your thing, Rosie?
Well, I have lots of things. We have 3 ponies at home, which I love to just go around.
Is cricket? Can I speed up because William is going to cut us off? Is cricket your thing?
Yeah, I love.
Tell me about your cricket.
During lockdown, I had with my brother. I had private training to practice cricket. At school, we just started last year. We started doing girls' cricket.
Brilliant.
Which is great fun. And everyone's getting better and better.
Great. Just 1 second, I'm going to go over here because William's going to shut it up. Now, where is your sister at school?
She's at Benenden.
She's at Benenden. And where might you go to school? This is a bit controversial because there are a couple going on.
Probably Benenden or Charterhouse.
Benenden or Charterhouse there. Now, where have you just been, sir?
I've been...
You've been at what? You're very quiet, Henry.
Sorry, sir. To Eton.
To Eton. What did you do there?
I did an interview at Eton and I did the Eton test.
Like many London type families, he's also been to about 18 other schools for an interview. That's not quite true, but it's quite a few. Now, Tom, come. Tell us about your cricket situation.
I play cricket for Sussex, like once every 3 weeks on a Sunday
training.
Normally.
It's a beautiful place, Sussex play cricket with Arundel round the corner.
Well, I'm
very
going to
special
have to
place.
short,
I think William's going to shut us down. William, do you want to say goodbye to these very wonderful people?
You, very nice to hear from you indeed. Thank you, Tom. And we'll come back. I'd like to say back to the studio, which probably is where I'm sat. I was pretty sure what I was doing until about 4 minutes ago, and after that extraordinary chat from Tom, I'm not at all sure what we're up to here. But lovely to see him, lovely to see Cottesmore and the silver polish. Finally, we get to Orwell Park in Suffolk, where Headmaster Adrian Brown hopefully will be ready having some breakfast with his head boy and head girl. Adrian, over to you.
Are we on? Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us today. We're actually in my study, where we were for breakfast at about 7:30 this morning. I'm with head boy, head girl, and 2 senior prefects, and we're just having a bit of grub mid-morning. So we're in this study that is part of an 18th century mansion, originally built for Admiral Vernon, and this forms the initial part of the school, to which lots of buildings were added in the 19th century, including many of our pupils enjoy leadership opportunities. And that could be the OPS Challenge, which is a sort of mini Duke of Edinburgh award, which we run with expeditions to Norfolk and to Wales in Year 7. And also taking part in our exchange program with Mayo College in Rajasthan, India. For 5 years, we've received pupils from the boys and girls schools in India. And we, last February, managed to send 23 Year 7 pupils to spend 7 days at Mayo College, 3 days in Agra and 3 days in Jaipur. And I think I can say that all 4 pupils who are here today actually attended that visit. So one of the things we develop at Orwell Park is a sense of leadership, and pupils can be prefects, they can be dorm captains, they can be peer listeners. There's a range of opportunities for them. I'm going to now turn to the pupils I've got with me here to tell you a little bit about their boarding experience, maybe to say 1 or 2 words about their experience at Orwell Park. So first, Monty.
Hi, I'm Monty. Next year I'm going to Harrow and I'm head boy. The thing I like most about Orwell is the boarding. Our facilities are brilliant. In the last 2 years, they have been refurbished in every single dorm. I also like the sport at Orwell, from playing competitive games against other schools and playing at top tournaments in the country, and just training in school and my one-to-one cricket lessons. Thank you.
B, who's our head girl?
Hello, I'm Beatrice Liddy. I've been here for 4 years and hopefully going to Oundle. One of my favourite things about Orwell Park is making the most out of the school grounds by going sailing and playing golf no face challenge. I love boarding because it's a nice place to get to know people really well and have deep chats and make new friends.
Thank you, B. I'm now going to hand to Archie, who is a senior prefect and, like me, a Manchester United supporter. So we had a very difficult weekend last weekend, which we've shared. Archie.
Hi, I'm Archie. I'm senior prefect. I'm going to Winchester. The thing I love the most about Orwell is the boarding, like Monty. The dorms are brilliant. All the house staff are really welcoming, and it gives you a brilliant chance to socialise with all your friends. It also gives you a chance to meet new people. We encourage lots of diversity at the school, and there's a range of different students who come to board.
Thank you, Archie. And now Cecily.
Hi, I'm Cecily. I am senior prefect and I'm hopefully going to Oundle as well. The thing I love most about boarding is definitely being with all your friends, and it's such a homely environment, and all the boarding staff are absolutely amazing. There's loads of different other activities that you can do, such as one-to-one crickets, which I also take part in, which I think are really, really fun.
Thank you, Cecily. Before we finish, I do have a cup like Tom. It's not any Tatler award, but it is a cup which says on it Pupil of the Fortnight. And this is a cup that we present to 4 pupils in assembly every 2 weeks for pupils who embody our values of kindness, collaboration, courage, spirit and respect. And we regard that as very, very important to the whole structure of our school. And finally, we've got an open week, 10th to the 16th of October. That's next week. So we're doing personalised tours for parents to come and visit us. In the meantime, videos and virtual tour of the school are available on the website. Thank you very much.
Adrian, and of course all your students, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much for showing us too that other schools have trophy cups to hand as well. Excellent. So thank you to all the schools, to all the heads. Wonderful to hear from you all on such a beautiful day and to see little bits and pieces of your fabulous schools on the screen, and indeed your fabulous students. So to the viewers, please do add your questions for the Q&A, which we're just about to do now, to the Q&A box. You'll find the icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen and you can type there. We will try and answer all those that pop up, and we have had 1 or 2 come in. I suppose the nice thing about questions around things like boarding prep schools in the country versus London Day is the questions for most parents don't particularly change. It's just new generations approaching it every year. So we'll start with a pretty classic one. It's something that you hear said a lot. I'm not sure whether it does have an answer really. Because Adrian's still there, I'm going to crack on actually and just ask you to answer this, Adrian. How do you know when a child is ready for boarding?
I think normally it's the children who go home and tell their parents that they want to board because their friends are. So generally you can do flexi boarding here, and when children start maybe in year 3 or 4, they will probably start by doing a couple of nights a week. Now that might be initially a Thursday night, which is tuck shop night, which is, in my view, an expensive bar of chocolate. But it starts with friends joining a dorm and then it builds up. And I think the crucial thing about prep boarding nowadays is that we work with parents to make sure it's the right decision. And there is no compulsion here.
Brilliant. Thanks, Adrian. And that's a very good point for all the schools. You've heard, viewers, that from each head that there is flexibility, there is a different approach. You don't have to commit necessarily to all boarding or all day, and they've really, in the modern era, our prep schools have just done a fantastic job in accommodating the modern family and the modern parent and indeed their children into their schools, so they can carry on doing the excellent job that's been going on for well over 100 years. We had a head earlier mention the word, if they're wrapped in tweed, you think that they're quite old-fashioned. I hope that you have all seen today from these schools that far from it. In fact, they're internally very, very progressive. While they have often a wonderful history and traditions and opportunities that may look, a bit fuddy-duddy and British. In fact, they're incredibly pertinent to the world in which we're living in. And for my money, all of these schools are thinking outside of the box in a way that you simply don't find at many other schools, particularly day schools in the city. So on to another question, which, having read it, I am going to skip and go to our question box here. This is a sort of nice technical question. So, do all of the co-ed schools accept military boarders /CEA? So I know some of you do have a certain arrangements for those in the military families. Perhaps Chris at Lockers Park, we could hear from you on that if you have some experience of that. You're on mute, Chris.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, William. So the question about accepting military boarders and CEAs. Certainly we're not a co-ed school, so I can't give the impression from a co-ed's point of view. But from a single-sex point of view, yes, I think the vast majority of us, if not all of us, would accept military boarders and would work with the families to help them support that, so that we could give them the offering that they need. Often the military boarders and the need of the parents to be moving around the country or even around the world, and having them fixed in their education in this country is a really important thing for them to be able to do. So I can't vouch for all the schools, but I think we'd all be saying the same thing, to say, yeah, absolutely, we would accept military schools and military boarders.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Another question here. So someone has asked that they're looking for a prep school to feed Harrow or Eton. In my world, I get asked a lot about feeder schools and these relationships. The reality of it is feeder relationships tend to be very strongly correlated to geographical location. We're going to find prep schools that send a lot of children to such and such a school if they are near such and such a school, because that's probably near in the area where their families of attending either or both schools are living. With schools like Harrow and Eton, the very, very famous and globally recognised regardless of where you are, the feeder relationships are less strong because there's always going to be people from all over the place wanting to go there. And obviously there will be schools that have very strong relationships with the heads and the registrars on the other end. But it's not really about that. It's about finding the schools. You want to go to a school that's that competitive. You need to go to a prep school that is going to get the most out of you. And that is more important than the numbers of students that they send to such and such a school, because that really is a very deceptive statistic. It's dependent on what parents want for their kids, where they might be, their current situation. The old adage rings true as ever: there are lies, damn lies, and then there are statistics. So I'd be very wary of that. If you want to go somewhere which is going to expect really high achieving children in lots of different areas, then you need to choose one of these wonderful prep schools that really suits your child's interests and is, as far as you're confident and aware, going to get the most out of them and get them to engage in as many activities and indeed the classroom to the highest level of their abilities. I'm going to wrap things up there. It's been fabulous to have all of you. Thank you to Beeston Hall, Aldro, Highfield, Old Buckenham Hall, Hanford, Lockers Park, Cottesmore, Orwell Park. You've all been wonderful. Thank you to the weather, and to our viewers. Please do look on our page for all the prospectus downloads, although the award-winning Cottesmore have yet to do that, Tom, so perhaps you could upload your prospectus, please. If you wanted immediately, you'll get it from his site. And gentlemen, hopefully there'll be some ladies next time. Thank you, and I hope to see you all again at your schools or at one of our shows very soon. And to our viewers, just a little update on what's happening next in the series. On Wednesday, the 14th of October at 5:30, we have a parents' forum on applying to highly selective US universities, followed the following day, Thursday the 15th of October at 10:30, we have a webinar on choosing an independent school online, and we're going to have people from the ISI, the Independent Schools Spectrum, and the Good Schools Guide on that. Many thanks again. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you.
William, can I just say on behalf of everybody, all of these extremely fantastic schools, that we're very, very grateful that you have taken the trouble to put us all forward towards parents in this way. Thank you very, very much indeed on behalf of everybody here, and obviously Cottesmore School as well.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's our absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll be in a situation where we can see each other more normally and more often soon enough. Gentlemen, thanks so much, and viewers, thank you for tuning in. See you